All right, here's my next one. It's from Trey. Are those who come to Jesus during the tribulation and the millennium just as much a part of the church as prior to the rapture? But the marriage supper of the Lamb is at Revelation 19:9. So do the new believers from the tribulation and millennium just get leftovers?
You know, did Abraham get leftovers? Did Noah get leftovers? Did Elijah get leftovers? Did John the Baptist get leftovers? They were all part of the people of Israel and God's covenant with Israel, and they were not part of the church. One of the things that you have in connection with the tribulation period specifically is that 7-year period is spoken about in Daniel chapter 9. And so in Daniel 9, it talks about the nation of Israel and God's plan for Israel, and specifically the city of Jerusalem and the people of Israel. And that plan is dated as being a 490-year period. And that period of time was fulfilled up until the time of Jesus, 7 years short of that. 483 years, 7 years short of that. And the last 7 years is the tribulation period. And so basically what you have in the book of Daniel, in Daniel chapter 9, and I'm giving you the short version, you can there's a book on this called The Coming Prince by Sir Robert Anderson. And it's a great book on this. But in any case, what you have there is Gabriel, the angel, is talking to Daniel, and God is revealing to Daniel the next this 490-year time period, and it goes to the death of the Messiah, actually right before the death of the Messiah, to his presentation to the people of Israel. And then there's a gap that includes the death of the Messiah, the destruction of the city of Jerusalem, and the dispersion of the nation of Israel. And then the history starts again in the last 7 years. That makes the last 7 years before Christ comes back a historically Israeli period. It's not a church age period. And so the church age is in the gap between the rejection of Christ and the beginning of the tribulation period. And so that's when Jews and Gentiles come together and become a part of the church. That's why you see the marriage supper of the Lamb in heaven before the church comes back to the earth. And so obviously if that's the case, then you have living believers on the earth that are not taking part in that. And so God's got a different plan for them. And that's why I said, is Abraham getting leftovers? Is John the Baptist getting leftovers? No, he's not. God it's a different time period, and God was dealing with them in different ways. Actually, he's dealing with us in different ways than he did with them. And so when you get to the tribulation period, it kind of goes back to Old Testament. And so they still have their plan. And so, for example, it talks about the 144,000 and that they're going to serve the Lamb for 1,000 years in the millennial period. And so we're going to serve him too. But they are specifically mentioned as being servants of Jesus during that period of time. And the other people that are in connection with that, you got Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and David and all these guys. David is specifically mentioned in millennial passages as being king over Israel during the millennium. David is. And so you have the apostles mentioned as being judges over the different tribes of Israel, 12 apostles, 12 judges. They rule over the tribes of Israel. And then you have us being mentioned as being people who rule over the cities of the earth. And it would include Israel also. And so everybody's got a purpose, and God's got a plan for all of us during the millennial period. And it looks like after that period, everything's combined. That's when you have the new heaven and the new earth, and you have these interesting things going on with the description of the New Jerusalem. So, for example, there's 12 gates in the New Jerusalem. They're made out of pearls. Each gate is one pearl. That's a big That's a big old clam. God can do anything he wants. But each one is made of pearl, and that's a Gentile jewel. And on each one of the gates is one of the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. And then in the foundation, you have 12 different stones, and those stones are listed. Those stones are arguably the stones that are in the high priest's breastplate that had the names of the tribes of Israel on them. But in the New Jerusalem, they have the names of the apostles on them, the 12 apostles. And so you see a mixing of Jew and Gentile when you get to the New Jerusalem, and that presumably is the case throughout the rest of eternity. Yeah. So there's different plans for different people, and those things begin to mesh during the tribulation, during the millennial period, and they are finally enmeshed by, in my opinion, by the time that we get to the new heaven and new earth. But God's got a different plan for different groups of people during the millennium. So, yeah.
Any leftover in heaven is still going to be a rocking, awesome situation.
I'm good with leftovers in heaven.
Yeah, totally.